So today we're going to talk about reverb delay and how you set them up because, well, maybe you're doing it wrong. If you're a pop or urban artist and you don't really want to become a recording engineer, I'm talking to you. I'm going to give you a quick understanding of how reverb and delay should be set up, because if you're doing it the lazy way, you're actually spending more time than you need to and you're kind of handcuffing yourself as to what you can do with those effects. So let's blast through this. Alright, through a little magic, let's put the laptop here. Alright, so let's get started. This is what reverb sounds like.
You can put this on our love.
Right? This is what delay sounds like.
You can put this on our love. On our love.
You reach for your reverb here. I'm using Ableton. You throw it on the track. You have this dry wet. So wet means the processed signal, dry means the unprocessed signal.
You can put this on our love. On our love.
So there you go. You got your reverb, you're happy, beautiful. Now you decide to put something else on. You grab a delay, whatever it might be. The problem is it starts to get really confusing and you can't treat any of these things different. So in Ableton or any other DAW, turn up this send. And you'll see, so I just throw that right on here, or I can throw it right onto A. There it is. Now the send sends the signal to this other return. This is called a return.
You can put this on our love.
So you want more reverb, turn that up.
You can put this on our love.
You want less, turn it down. We've got a delay here. You want some delay.
You can put this on our love. On our love. No more.
So what's important here is if you put those on the tracks, then you end up with a lot of vocals, you end up with a lot of plugins all on different tracks, and you can't control them that well. So in this scenario, say you have 3 or 4 vocals, and then you decide you've got too much, you have to go through every single one and change the wet-dry balance, and it's really cumbersome. So let's put some reverb on. We'll put on way too much.
You can put this on.
Let's say you had that on a bunch of different things. You could go over here and you could just...
You can put this on our love.
You could just turn down the reverb on everything if you wanted to, just with that one fader. Super easy, you could do that with the delay. The other advantage is, say you've got this reverb going here, let's highlight that. So with this, you can actually EQ the reverb.
You can put this on our love. On our love.
See how the reverb, in this case, is getting way smaller. We can make it bigger. We can take the high end off.
You can put this on our love.
It's really hard to accomplish that if you put that reverb on the actual track as the vocal. Now you've got way more control of what that reverb sounds like. Same thing with the delay. Let's turn off the reverb. Let's turn on the delay. It's really typical.
You can put this on our love. On our love.
We go to the delay channel. I can actually just copy paste that right in.
You don't get to say it's done. Say it's done anymore.
Now you see how I've made the delay much smaller in the EQ?
You can put this on our love. On our love. No more.
So now I can separate the delays, the reverb from the vocal sound much better, and I can really control the desired effect that I'm looking for. So here's the thing. You create the return, that's where the reverb is, and then you use the send to send the signal to the reverb, the delay. It could be anything, and then you have an output control of that. Let me show you one other really cool thing that you can do. Okay, so we talked about putting EQ on the effects. Now it doesn't have to stop there. For example, I do this all the time. Well, a lot of people do, but here's our delay, right? Zip down here, throw a flanger on it.
You can put this on our love. On our love. No more.
That creates a different effect in the delay, and you can hear the delay. In the context of music, I won't get too deep, but in the context of music, that separates the sound more from the vocal, and it creates a really cool thing where you can hear the delay better without having to turn it up too much. So you can put chorus on it, flanger, EQ it, and all of a sudden the game that you're playing with your effects is going to really level up. If you're trying to affect the delay or the reverb and it's on the track of the actual vocal, you're going to affect the actual vocal too. And what you're trying to do a lot of times is create a different sound from the vocal itself, so you get more separation, and that way you just get a way more effective effect. Yeah. Now I've got one last thing, and this is a bit of a ninja move. So let's take the reverb off. We've got our delay.
You can't put this on.
And you've heard this on records, but you just didn't know you were hearing it perhaps. So what you do in Ableton, or on a Mac, control click, you have to enable the send, otherwise it won't work. So I've enabled that send.
You can't put this on our love, on our love, no more.
So what's going on? I'm taking the signal from the delay and I'm sending it into the reverb. So the reverb isn't directly on the vocal itself. The reverb is coming from the delay, and that's what I'm doing right here.
You can't put this on our love, on our love.
So you hear the reverb is on the delay. Now what that does is it creates that sense of space that you really like, but it separates the vocal from the reverb sound. And this is a cool way of actually having reverb on a vocal without having it directly on vocal. So you get a cool sense of space, but you get a nice, clear out front vocal. So here's what we talked about. Create the send and the return. Effect the effect, meaning EQ it, process it, and then you're able to adjust the effect on the effect itself. You have way more control, you can get way more separation from your vocal, and you can really level up your game. And it's not that hard to do. So think about not putting the effects on the actual vocal. Look, I do it sometimes. If I want a really specific sound on a specific instrument, I'll grab the effect and I'll just put it right on there. I'm only going to use it one place in the mix. Here's the other bonus. If you do it this way, you're only using one reverb, one delay, maybe you'll use more than that, but you're not using like 10, 15, 20 of them, so you'll get way more mileage out of the CPU power that you've got in your computer. So it's really beneficial in a lot of ways. So word about effects. Use what you have. Don't let that slow you down. You don't need to go out and spend a pile of money. Maybe you want to look into some kind of plate reverb. That's typically what engineers use on vocals a lot because they're warm, but they're good at staying out of the way. Point is, just get started and use what you have. Please remember that your gear, your computer, your effects, they don't make the music, your creativity does. So don't let any of this stuff slow you down. If you could hit me with a comment about what's slowing you down or getting in your way, I'm here for you. I'll do what I can to help you out, and I've got a lot of answers. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, it would be so awesome if you would hit that, it's the subscribe button here, hit that subscribe button, and I will be around to share everything I know with you.